What is going on, Wildlife X team? This is Michael here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how you can find water in the desert in case you're camping there, in case you get lost, or if you just want to know because you plan on being in the middle of a desert for no reason. We also made a video about some of the most dangerous wildlife creatures in the desert, so that way you can watch out for them and you know what to do. So if you're interested in checking that out, make sure to check in the description below for that video. Without further ado, this is how you find water in the desert if you don't have a water bottle. First off, deserts receive very little rainfall. They're extremely hot during the day, and they can also get relatively cold at night compared to the heat. Because it has dry air and it gets so hot at night, you can be dehydrated very quickly. For example, in Phoenix, Arizona, the last summer got up to about 115 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 45 to 50 degrees Celsius. With the temperature being so hot and the air so dry, your sweat can evaporate right off of your skin before you even realize you're sweating. That's a huge problem because you don't even realize how hot you're getting because you don't feel the sweat on your body. So you're rapidly dehydrating without even realizing it and potentially not even getting that thirsty. It's very imperative that you bring tons of water wherever you're going so that way you can stay hydrated and always drink more water than you think you need to do. So while you're searching for water in the desert, you're going to want to spend the hottest parts of the day away from the sun and away from the wind, if possible. You're going to want to minimize the amount of water you're losing because you're going to be dehydrating yourself very quickly if you're out in 110 degrees Fahrenheit weather trying to look for water. Try look for water in the very beginning of the morning, which is probably going to be the coolest time, or at night. It's going to be a little bit harder at night because you're not going to be able to see as well. So if you can do it at sunset or right at sunrise, that's going to be the optimal time to search for water. The temperature is going to be the coolest. It hopefully won't be too windy. You're not going to have the sun out beating down on you. And so you're just going to want to keep that in mind. So if possible, minimize your rate of loss of your water. So first off, you're going to want to look for shaded canyons and valleys. These areas are going to be protected from the sun. They're going to have lots of shade, and where there's shade, it's going to be colder. Where it's cooler, there's more likely to be water. Because it's so hot, if you go to an area that has a lot of sunlight, odds are the water is going to evaporate instantly, even if you are able to use this strategy to get water. So look for shaded canyons and valleys if possible. Combine the advice that I'm also going to give you later in this video with that. If not, if you can't find any shaded canyons or valleys and it's relatively flat completely, then just apply the other advice. First, you're going to want to look to where the wildlife animals are going. Look for bees, birds, insects. Preferably, the bigger the creature, the more likely that water is going to be nearby. So if you find a cougar and a cougar is moving around in a certain area, the probability of water being over there is going to be much higher than if you find a few flies flying in a different area. You're going to want to look for where the biggest wildlife animals are, and you're going to want to see where they're going. If you can't find any bigger wildlife animals, try as best as possible to see where the insects are moving. For example, are all of the insects moving north? Are all of the insects moving towards this canyon or that canyon? Where are they coming from? Where are they going to? You're going to want to stay as aware as possible and try see if there's any trends. If you can't find any wildlife animals or insects, or there's not enough to make a logical conclusion, then look for wildlife vegetation. Generally speaking, the greener the plants are, the more likely that there's going to be lots of water nearby. So look for more dense vegetation. If you're going in a certain area and there's more cactus and cacti, just more green and more vegetation, the probability of water being in that area is going to be higher than if you go the other way and there's less green and less vegetation. Once you find this area, you're going to want to dig and look for moisture in areas that are shaded. Again, remember, think about shaded areas. During sunrise and the morning, which areas are going to be shaded, because those are going to be the best areas to dig and the places where you're most likely to find moisture. In the early morning, if possible, otherwise you're going to have to do it in the other part of the day, but if possible, do it in the early morning when you dig. You're going to want to dig about a foot down and make a nice big little hole. Make sure to dig in a few spots as well. Again, if you found a canyon or a valley, dig especially where the shade is, and dig in several different places. If it's moist and there's lots of dense vegetation nearby, then that hole is probably going to slowly fill up with a little bit of water. But just in case the one spot you dug is not good enough, you're going to want to dig a spot there, dig a spot in another place, dig a few different areas, and hopefully one of those holes will be able to start collecting water. If you're able to do it in the early morning, then odds are you're going to get a small little puddle of water. If it's hard to collect because you don't have a cup or you can't use your hands or for whatever reason it's hard to collect, put a cloth into it and you can collect the water and then you can wring it out over a bucket or under your mouth if you have to. It goes without saying that you should disinfect your water if possible. You should boil it if possible. If you have an iodine tablet or any type of antibacteria filter that you can put inside of it, definitely do that. It's better to drink, of course, purified water or water that is guaranteed not to have bacteria, but if it comes down to it, don't not drink water because you aren't able to filter it. Drink the water if you need to. Again, you want to do this as quickly as possible because in the early morning, the sun is going to continue to rise, the temperature is going to increase very dramatically, and as the temperature increases, the probability of the water evaporating is going to increase, and so it's going to get harder and harder to collect the water. So collect it as quick as possible, purify it if you can, otherwise drink it, and save as much as you possibly can. If that doesn't work, there are a few other things that you can do. One of them would be to collect dew, another would be search under tree hollows, look for water under rocks. Sometimes in rocks and areas with lots of stone, water can get stuck under these rocks, and that's where a lot of vegetation is getting their water, or sometimes you'll see vegetation on the sides of mountains. That's because the water is getting trapped under the rocks, so if you dig up some rocks, you might be able to find a little bit of water there. Another thing you can do too is eat cactus fruit. I'll have an image of the cactus fruit pop up right now, but you're gonna wanna be very, very careful with that. In North America, there's also a misconception that you can drink cactus water. That is not a good idea. Usually that water is going to be poisonous, it's going to cause headaches, vomiting, even potential temporary paralysis, and in very rare cases, it could be lethal to drink water inside of a cactus barrel. However, if it comes down to it, do or die, you have to drink cactus water. You can drink just a little bit of this. Again, this is your disclaimer. We are not responsible if you go out and you drink cactus water and you die or you have any medical issue. We're saying, if at all possible, don't drink the cactus water. It is not safe, but however, if you have to, drinking a little bit of barrel cactus water may be enough so that way you don't get sick, but that you have enough energy to get back into safety or find other water. The only safe barrel cactus to drink is in the Southwest United States of America, and it's called the fishhook barrel cactus. This is what it looks like. I'm gonna have that image pop up right now. It's about 2 feet in diameter, and it may have red or yellow flowers at the top of it. To get the water, you're going to want to cut off the top of the cactus with a machete or any type of iron tool that you possibly can. Then you'll want to mash the white, watermelon-like interior pulp into a liquid and or kind of like in a mash, and then squeeze it and liquid will come out of it. Again, only do this if you have to. This could cause health complications or potentially even a fatality due to the temporary paralysis if you're drinking the wrong water. But if you see this type of cactus around your area and you're not able to locate or source any other water, then you can do this. Again, drink a very, very little bit of the water. Minimize the amount of this type of liquid that you're drinking. So that's it. That's your quick little guide on how to find water, or at the very least, hopefully get by a little bit further if you're camping in the desert, if you're a survivalist in the desert, or you're doing something in the desert and you need water for whatever reason. If you're watching this video, you're probably not already out lost in the desert. So if you are lost in the desert, call the police, get some help. But if you're not in the desert, bring way more water than you actually need. It's better to have a backpack full of spare water than it is to go in and have a situation like this, because it's so dangerous, so hard, and even the advice we gave you is not guaranteed. The probability of finding water is very hard. It's a long process. The water could be dirty, or in the cactus case, just downright poisonous. So bring lots of water before you go on your adventure into the desert. We hope you enjoyed this video. Regardless, make sure to leave a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below. Make sure to hit subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.